Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be sharing my May reading plans, pile of possibilities, TBR, whatever you would like to call it. I will tell you right now, I don't think I'm going to get to all these books that I have stacked up for May. I'm just so excited about all of the events occurring in May, and my goodness, there's a lot of them. I have 4 of them that I'm going to talk about in this TBR video, and I'm trying to limit myself to 1 book for each event. But it's hard. It's very, very hard to do that. And you'll see why as we kind of go through everything. But yeah, there's so many wonderful events and so many great booktubers that I want to support what they're doing. So I will leave all of their information linked in the description below for you. So you can go and check out their announcement videos, their projects in May. And I encourage you to subscribe to all of them because they are fantastic. But for me, my TBR, I'm going to start with my 1001 book countdown book club, which this will be the 4th month, because I don't do one in January. So for the May pick, we are going to be reading Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. And look at this. I still love these covers so much. So pretty, this version. I'm still missing 2 in the series. I can't find 2 of them, but oh, how beautiful this is. The back of this book actually says, sometimes I whisper it over to myself. Murderous, murderous. It rustles like a taffeta skirt along the floor. And that's all I know about this book. I know nothing else, but it is the book club pick. I probably won't start this until the 2nd week, but can't wait to have conversation out on Discord. That will also be linked in the description below for you if you want to go out and join that conversation. But it has a lot to live up to because the first 2 books of the month, or first 2 books of the year, were both 5-star reads. So I'm hoping. Last month's book wasn't quite a 5-star read, but I have high hopes for this one. The next book that I'm reading is a buddy read with Greg over at Another Bibliophile Reads and Fraser Simon at Springboard Thought, and they are both willing to take on a monster. This book is the 2nd longest book on the countdown overall. I mean, there's very few books that are of this length, and we are going to at least attempt to start this in May. And what book is it? It is this one, The Man Without Qualities by Robert Musil. And so this volume 1 is 700 pages, but there's a volume 2, and volume 2 is 1,000 pages. So it's over 1,700 pages between the 2 volumes, and we will be starting this in May. I don't know what kind of schedule we're talking about with it, but it's a lot, this book. I've heard it's excellent. If you can get through it, it's worth the read. It's very highly rated. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of book in here. I think if you put the 2 books together like this, you get a face. Pretty sure. Yep. You get a face. But that's about all I know about it. They also have different blurbs on the back of it. The back of this one says, it is August 1913 and Vienna is preparing to celebrate the 70th Jubilee of Emperor Franz Josef. And probably drafted into this grandiose enterprise is Ulrich, the man without qualities, ex-soldier and scientist, seducer and skeptic. As Ulrich navigates the chaotic labyrinth of Viennese society, Musil creates a witty, poignant novel of vast intellectual scope and stylistic daring, a maliciously acute portrayal of an empire marching over a cliff. Ooh, okay. So that is the buddy read, group read that I will be tackling. If we read 50 pages a day, it would take us the entire month of May. I don't know. We haven't set a schedule, so we'll figure out that piece. But I'm hoping we're starting this right around the 1st of the month. And that is the longest book. I'll be so glad to get that one scratched off the list because it is intimidating and it is long. Oh, boy. So other than that, for the 1001 book countdown, I do have a couple more books. I have a buddy read that I'm doing with one of my Instagram followers. It'll be our first buddy read. I'm so excited, and we will be reading The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera. I have read one other book by Kundera, which was The Joke. So this will be my 2nd. This is supposed to be one of the most banned books out there. In fact, I picked it up off of a banned bookshelf, and it is on my 2023 list. So all 3 books so far have been on my 2023 list. The back of this one says, a young woman in love with a man torn between his love for her and his incorrigible womanizing. One of his mistresses and her humbly faithful lover These are the two couples whose story is told in this masterful novel. In a world in which lives are shaped by irrevocable choices and by fortuitous events, a world in which everything occurs but once. Existence seems to lose its substance, its weight. Hence, we feel the unbearable lightness of being, not only as the consequence of our private actions, but also in the public sphere, and the two inevitably intertwine. All right, I'm excited about this particular one. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, this one being a banned book, I'm really, really curious about it. I also have a buddy read with Dia over at Novel Idea and Tiffany at Beautiful Minutia, and we will be reading The Shadow Line by Joseph Conrad. I don't have a physical book for that. I got it as an ebook because it is in the public domain, and we will be reading that more towards the end of the month, second half of the month. But yeah, I have that one scheduled. And then the other one that we just solidified today is I will be doing another buddy read with Britta Bowler, and we will be reading Blaming by Elizabeth Taylor. And this is not Elizabeth Taylor, the actress. I don't know anything really about this book. It just happens to be a book that is in common with both of our 1001 lists. And we had decided we were doing a buddy read in May. So those are my buddy reads, group reads for May from the 1001 list. Now, when we start talking about the other things that I have going on, I have, of course, my subscriber favorite books that I'm still working my way through that selection. And for May, I have selected this one, The 100 Years of Lenny and Margot. And this was a suggestion by the channel Novel Opinions. So I'm really excited to read this one. And this one was published in 2021. So it's a fairly new release. And I really am excited about reading this one. I picked it because I thought it would be an easier one to read in May. I don't know if it will qualify for one of the events in there. It might. I haven't checked yet. That I'm going to talk about in a second, but this will be my subscriber favorite pick. And then for my Discover New Author project as well, I will be trying out William Kent Kruger with Ordinary Grace. I do own this one, so I thought, why not? And it's one of the shorter ones. So is Shadowline, by the way, and Blaming we selected because it was short. So yeah, I did select this one purely based on how long it was, but I'm excited to try this one. My last project that I have is my Health and Body series, and we're going a bit of a different direction this month. We will be reading Fat Girls Hiking by Summer Michaud Scott. And I will be reading this with Amy at A Star Reads and Amanda from the Reading and Writing Life. And this one is more about just suggestions and tips for getting outdoors. Now, I am an avid hiker. I love being outside. It's part of who I am. I have vlogs and hiking videos out there. Every year I go camping. And so I'm really excited to read this from a perspective of someone who does get out there, what kind of tips it's giving people. I think it has also profiles of people in it. But this one, I bought this last year as a new release, and I am ecstatic. So that's the last of my projects. Okay, so let's talk about the events. The first event is a new one. Misery May, the Hardy Read Along. This is being hosted by Scott over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot and Gemma from Gemma Books. And there are 6 prompts in there. I will, like I said, leave this in the description below for you. But basically the first one is to read a Hardy novel. And that is the one prompt that I'm going to commit to reading, which is The Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy. This is also on my 1001 list, on my 2023 list. And it is not that big. You can see this is kind of like a little miniature book here. It is 400 pages and it is packed pretty tightly in here, but I'm hoping that this is a good one. It's the only Hardy novel that I own that I haven't read yet. So this is going to be my selection for Misery May. I do have one other book. If I were to have some time, because I'll have all this read, I'm sure, in the first week. No, I won't. But if I were to pick another book in here, there are other prompts. One is just read a miserable book, read a book you associate with one of the words cliffhanger, undergarments, read a book you associate with words building and architecture, or read a book you associate with the word star and astronomy. But the book I'm selecting is going to be Shuggie Bain by Douglas Stewart. I've heard this is excellent. It is the Booker winner from 2020. I've read Young Mungo by this author and really liked that book, even though that was fairly miserable as well. But this one, it would be the one This is my one that I'm selecting for this one outside of the Thomas Hardy that is on my 2023 list. This would be For Misery May. Oh my goodness. I'll see if how much of a mood I'm in for misery in May. Maybe one of these will work. All right. The next one, the next event is actually May of the Moderns, which is hosted by Margaret Pinard. And this particular one is to read books between 1901 and 1945. And she also has prompts in there, which include Irish Celtic books, people of color written in Africa, Asia, or Latin American, translated or written or translated in the era, a backlist, an own TBR or TBR veteran, or genre and an identifiable genre read. Now, I happen to have a book that qualifies for May of the Moderns and also for Jen the Librarian's E.M. Forrester read along. Now, I thought of this book after watching Margaret's announcement video because she had Passage to India. But the month of May, the read along for E.M. Forrester for Jen the Librarian is A Room with a View. This book was first published in 1908. So it absolutely fits the era, the prompts, and it is a TBR owned book, and it qualifies for 2 different read-alongs. So I will be tackling this one in May. This one's probably more of a sure thing for May of the Moderns. The other book that I have for May of the Moderns that could work is going to be this one, Out of Africa by Karen Blixen. This book was originally published in 1937. So it's getting to the end of the May of the Modern period. I don't see a lot of people talking about this particular book, so I'm excited to pick this one up. I have seen the movie kind of floating around, but I haven't actually watched the movie. I think it's on one of the streaming channels right now, so I could watch it, but Out of Africa will be my other May of the Modern pick if I can get to one. The next event is a new event as well, and it is called Mental Health May, which is being hosted by Kim over at Middle of the Book March and Marilyn Maya Mendoza. And this is about reading books about mental health. And there is a group read for this one, which is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Lori Gottlieb, which I actually have already read. And I actually really like that book quite a bit. I got it from the library, so I don't have a physical book for it. There is a book for me that has been on my radar. I actually had it checked out at the library at one point and just didn't have time to get to it in the month that it came, from the hold list. I did put a book back on hold. The book is called Drama Free, A Guide to Managing Unhealthy Family Relationships by Nidra Glover Tawwab. And I'm really, really interested in it. If I can fit it in May, I definitely will. There are some prompts for Mental Health May, which include disordered, caring, overcoming, and discovery. And I do feel like that book would fit those prompts absolutely beautifully. I would love to prioritize that. I think it would be incredible, absolutely incredible. And the last event that I'm going to talk briefly about is actually the Asian Readathon, which is being hosted with Cindy. It's the 3rd or 4th year, I think, that she has hosted this particular event. This event is actually why I started my channel when I did. And because my husband is from an Asian country, it was something that was very near and dear to me. And I still follow this event quite a bit. Now, the challenges this year are based off of a movie called Joyride. And the prompts are really wonderful. The first one is very easy. Read a book written by an Asian author. Read a book featuring a friendship between at least 2 Asian characters. Read a book written by an Asian author featuring an Asian character that is based on identity and self-discovery. Read a book written by an Asian author and or featuring an Asian character that shows them going on an adventure. Or read a book featuring an Asian character who is either a hot mess, famous, or eccentric. Now, Cindy has a whole ton of suggestions in her video, as well as resources to help. I will leave all of that linked for you. And the one book that is kind of sitting over on my shelf that I thought, maybe, maybe will qualify for one of these prompts, and it is this one, Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. This is a Japanese author. I don't know much about this. I know I've read a couple pages of it and went, nope, not in the right framework, not in the right mindset for it. So put it back down. We'll see, because maybe is this character a hot mess? Is the story a hot mess? Is it more than one Asian character featured in it? I think that this one Yeah, I'm worried about it, but we'll put it in there. We'll put it in there and see. So I have a huge pile of possibilities, one for each event. My priority will be my 1001 books, of course, and my projects. I will also have at least one more book for the TBR tackle. Oh boy. Yeah. It's a stack. It's a big stack. I admit that it's a big stack. So the last few books are definitely piles of possibilities and not necessarily committed TBR, but we'll see. I'm also completely ignoring that I haven't finished my book two prize reading yet, but we're going to pretend like those books don't exist, and I'm not even going to show you what I have left because it's intimidating to think about. They're literally right here on my desk looking at me. I feel like they're looking at me. So I'm also not going to try and do a stack. I will leave the books listed in the description below for you. Would love to hear your thoughts if you've read any of them. And yeah, it's a lot, but I'm going to pace myself. I am. And, if I don't get to them, I don't get to them. I'm not going to worry about it too much. But I am super excited by all of these wonderful events by these amazing booktubers and look forward to seeing what other people will be reading for them this month. But as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.